Hey everyone, Kelsey the Counselor here. Today we're going to talk all about chronic pain, mental health, and how they are connected. If you or someone you know is struggling with chronic pain, I'd highly encourage you to give this video a look, and feel free to comment below if you feel like anything's missing or you have any thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. If you find these videos helpful, you're always welcome to hit that subscribe button or hit that notification bell, and you'll be notified anytime we post new information. If there's something that you would love to see from me as well, definitely fire me a message and I will see what I can do. I would love to be able to serve you. The intention of these videos is to give you what you need and provide you with lots of information. So if there's something you feel like you would love to know about, fire me a message and I'd love to hear from you. Okay, chronic pain and mental health. So I find that often chronic pain is misunderstood. And sometimes those that might not understand chronic pain say things like, you just need to get over it. It can't hurt that badly. Oh, come on, just pop a Tylenol. You'll be fine. But if any of you who are watching struggle with chronic pain, you're going to know that that's just not the case. If you could just keep going, you 100% would. And no doubt as well, things have been taken away from you. Not only do you think about if there's an activity that's coming up, if you can actually do it, but then you're going to be thinking about the recovery time after. It's almost like you're budgeting your energy. If I do this thing, what's it going to look like after? How much am I going to have to recover? And how long am I going to be knocked out for? So there's a lot to go into different activities that we can do, how we can use our energy in the day, what we need to do to take care of ourselves. And for these reasons and more, chronic pain is highly connected with our mental health. I use the title A Little Kung Fu for Your Chronic Pain because Kung Fu is, I don't know much about it, but a martial arts. And I think there's a lot of meditative pieces that are really helpful, but the intention is also to be a little bit playful. And I'm going to talk about one of my favorite movies, Fu Panda. If you checked it out, 2 thumbs up. If you haven't, you need to watch that video. It's amazing. And there's a ton of hidden wisdom in it. So who am I? I'm Kelsey. I love talking about mental health. I love geeking out about mental health. And I'm really passionate about normalizing the fact that we all have mental health and we all deserve to pay attention to our mental health. It's important for us to acknowledge that life gets us all, and we all have difficulties that kind of ebb and flow in our lives, and it's okay to talk about tough stuff. Kung Fu Panda, like I said, if you've watched it, definitely 2 thumbs up for you. There's this quote in there, Kung Fu's adopted goose father, who runs a soup factory. I know, it's intriguing already, isn't it? So Goose Daddy runs a soup restaurant, and he has a whole bunch of soups on the menu. And one of these soups is the secret ingredient soup. Well, this is by far the most superior soup of them all. Although, fun fact, spoiler alert, there's no secret ingredient in the secret ingredient soup. And so our hero in this story, this beautiful, wonderful, kind of bumbly along, genteel panda, who's a little bit awkward, but kind of endearing. He is training and learns to become the one, not at his own choice, he's been chosen to save his whole village from this evil tyrant named Tai Lung. And in Kung Fu Panda's journey to become this Kung Fu master, he doesn't believe in himself the whole way along. And there's these other martial arts superior people that he thinks are far, far better than him. And then this wisdom comes along his path from his adopted goose father, that there's no secret ingredient in a secret ingredient soup. And he has this moment and he realizes that just in believing something is special, it is special. And by believing in himself, anyone else have goosebumps? By believing in himself, he can actually do what he wants to do and is passionate about doing just by the power of belief. So it's a pretty profound movie that's kind of hidden in a Pixar playful way, but I highly encourage you to check it out. It's super fun. So we're going to talk about how to Kung Fu your chronic pain. I'm not talking about chopping it in half, I'm talking about the wisdom of Kung Fu. So chronic pain is definitely a big deal and for sure impacts mental health as well. Canadians who report symptoms of depression also report experiencing 3 times as many chronic physical conditions as the general population. And that's from 2008. And the government of Canada has found that Canadians with chronic physical conditions have twice the likelihood of also experiencing a mood or anxiety disorder when compared to those without chronic physical condition. So we can see that chronic pain, and for sure chronic health is in there too, impacts our mental health. And how can it not? So really what I want to show you is that sometimes it starts with chronic pain that can erode our mental health. And sometimes our more eroded mental health can impact our physical health as well. So they are inextricably linked. Our bodies and our minds and our whole beings are all connected. So when one part of us is impacted, the other parts are too. And I really want to normalize that. This is a theory based on nothing more than my own curiosities and my own connections with those that struggle with chronic pain. So science and medicine know that pain is real. For sure, they can see the centers of our brain light up when we experience pain sensation, physical and emotional pain. However, science and medicine don't fully understand pain. Maybe someone in the lab understands pain, but it hasn't filtered down into kind of mainstream knowledge yet. So that's very possible, and kudos to them, whoever's uncovering this. But I kind of wonder if in like 10, 15, 20, 30 years in the future, people are going to start to understand pain more. And so instead of going, how high is your pain on a scale of 1 to 10, and using a subjective way to understand how bad your chronic pain is in a given moment, we're going to actually understand how it works a little bit more. And my hope is with that understanding of how it works is that there'd be more compassion and understanding for those that struggle with chronic pain. Because I think right now, those with chronic pain just kind of grin and bear it to try to get through and are exhausted, or they kind of shut everything out and become really recluse, because it's really hard to manage chronic pain every day in society with all the things we want to do, the relationships we want to have, and the interactions that are expected of us. And chronic pain can kind of put a cloud over that all. You might understand again why it impacts our mental health when we have physical pain. So we're going to talk about acute pain. So this is like short-term pain. So let's say I'm doing something and I like twist my wrist a little bit and it really hurts. And that pain goes away over time. So this is acute pain in the moment, short-term. The pain receptors are going off, everything's activated, and these sensations are for sure real. We can see if there's a lot of significant acute pain, people often go pale, they get kind of sweaty and clammy, and they're holding their part of their body that really hurts. Chronic pain is a little bit different. It often starts with an injury, although it doesn't always. And what happens is the very real sensations of chronic pain that are in our body then also reverb to our brain. And so initially what might start is this neural pathway between our wrist, let's say our wrist and our brain, that's kind of like that dusty back road that isn't driven a lot, now becomes a super highway. And so it's traveled all the time, all the time, all the time. And so the pain sensations between our wrist or whatever is going on in our wrist and what how we receive that information in our brain are supercharged. And so there's a lot of communication and connection. There's a lot that's going on in the nerves as well, although that's not my area of expertise. My area of expertise is understanding our central nervous system and how it impacts our mental health. So I can't speak to the nerves and what's going on in your wrist physically. I'm aware though that the pain receptors in our wrist and our brain are strongly, strongly connected. And so we focus on it more, we're worried about it more, it becomes really loud. And if anything's going on in our wrist, we are going to know it because that superhighway's been connected. And for good reasons, right? The superhighway's been connected because, oh my gosh, dangers happen. My wrist has been injured. I need to be acutely aware of what's going on in my wrist to make sure that something bad doesn't happen again. That's trauma, right? We're hypervigilant, hyper aware of what's going on. And in this way with chronic pain, it becomes focused on that part of our body that's been really injured and really hurts. Again, the sensations are real. The pain is real. I'm not saying it's all in your head. I'm saying the connection between the part of your body that's been injured and the neural pathways in your brain become supercharged. And so we're hyper aware of what's going on in that part of our body. So without any stimulus on my wrist, it still constantly hurts. And there's a lot of sensation that I'm feeling in that part of my body. The sensations are real. The pain is real. A lot of people come to me and go, oh, my doctor said it's all in my head. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the connection between that physical part of your body and your brain is supercharged. And so you're very aware of what's going on in that part of your body. So how does mental health play into this? Well, many things are often taken away from those that are struggling with chronic pain. You can't do what you used to do. You can't do what you want to do with that same sense of freedom. So many areas of your life have been impacted. Limitations can be really, really hard to accept because if chronic pain is really significant, your world kind of becomes smaller and smaller of what you can actually do. And so it's this like distress, like, I want to be who I was before this injury happened. I want to be able to do all these things. And we're kind of fighting against these limitations that have been put on us, not by our own choosing. We want to have freedom. We had a lot of fun before this accident, before this injury, doing all these things, and now we can't do them. And I'm frustrated and I'm angry. And why did this happen to me? So we can fight that and we can keep going in this battle, or we can try to kung fu it. So again, I don't know a ton about kung fu, but there's the kung fu martial art fighting piece, but then there's the kung fu martial art kind of meditative piece, the connection to self, being acutely aware of what's going on so you can respond to what's coming at you as opposed to attacking and fighting for no reason, right? So if something's coming at me and I'm really well trained and connected to myself, connected to my surroundings, I'm really grounded, I have physical fitness, I can respond to things as they're coming at me to protect myself and to respond to that kind of external pressure, external stress. We're working with the forces that are coming at us instead of using force to go out. And so I said before in the earlier slide, you can fight these limitations, you can fight this distress, or you can kung fu it. And really what I mean by that is work with it. So if we're constantly fighting, as opposed to responding to what's coming at us and we're working with it, it can be a little bit more gentle. I'm not saying it's sunshine and roses. I'm just saying that the distress you might have, my hope would be that it would get a little bit smaller and you might find a little bit more acceptance and perhaps even a little more peace with the limitations that you have given the chronic pain that you're experiencing. There's a whole lot of research on fear avoidance and chronic pain. Gordon Adamson is one of the professors that has done a lot of research on this. And what he's found is that we have this fear of feeling pain. That's societal, that's physical pain, that's emotional pain. We don't want to feel pain. Who does want to sign up to feel pain? No, thank you. So we have this fear of pain and we want to avoid the pain. And what that can do is it can kind of compound our chronic pain because then we have this muscle reactivity. We have a lot of tension in our body, which can increase the muscle reactivity. And then it kind of impacts the pain and it makes it worse. And then that can lead to ongoing frustrations and difficulties. And I can't do the things I want. And then I can also move into depression. So if you're curious at all, I definitely encourage you to check out Gordon Adamson. I'll put a link down below as well with some of this research. And it's really interesting to see how this fear of pain actually can make it worse, both for our physical bodies and our emotional, psychological bodies. So I'm curious, how does fear play into your experience of chronic pain? Do you avoid it? Do you ignore it? Do you try to disconnect from it? Do you try to control it? I have no doubt fear plays into your experience of chronic pain because who wants to feel pain? And if this thing's coming up next week that I know I'm going to have to do, I might already be a bit anxious and worried about it. What's it going to be like? Is there going to be a chair I can sit in? Am I also going to be able to stand when I need to? Can I move around? Is that going to be weird or awkward? People are going to be asking about how my chronic pain is. And we already start to worry about what's going to happen in the future. And so we might choose to decline the invitation. We might shut off and kind of disconnect and just gut through, power through. We might try to pop into that kind of hyperarousal place to compensate and be really energetic and really buzzy, and then we're going to crash afterwards. We might try to control the situation and bring our own chair to manage that we can have place to sit. So there's lots of ways that fear can interact with our chronic pain and for sure impact our mental health as well. So I talk a lot about fear and courage, and I wanted to throw this out here too. When we're stuck in a cycle of fear, and we're going round and round and round in a cycle of fear, or is there a way that we can then pop out, tap into some courage, face some of that pain, face some of those worries, face some of that distress, Move to face and accept, dare I say, accept these limitations that have been placed on us. And so if we use courage, we get out of that cycle of fear, even if for a brief moment. And it might not make the pain necessarily better, it might not make it milder. However, it makes our ability to tolerate it a little bit more peaceful, a little bit more gentle. We're not stuck in this fighting place. We're stuck in this place of movement and fluidity, and not even stuck. We move to this place of fluidity and acceptance, accepting these limitations, feeling the anger, feeling the frustration. How could this have happened to me? I can't do the things I want to do. But when we face those physical and emotional places of pain, we might move to a place of peace and maybe freedom. So what can you do to interrupt your cycle? Your pain cycle? You can change your activity level, build in recovery time. Highly, highly recommend this. Knowing that you're going to take something on, an activity, if it's sitting too long, not sitting long enough, whatever it might be, you want to build in recovery time. And can you challenge your response to pain? So oftentimes we talk about, if I'm having a response to pain, I feel a sensation in my body, but then there's also an emotional response that also somehow gets connected in there. So if I feel sensation in my body, I feel pain sensation physically in my body, and then I go, oh, this pain, it's taking everything away from me. And then those two things combined kind of pull me down, and I feel really, really low. Is there a way that we can feel the physical sensation of pain and somehow learn to manage that emotional response differently? Focusing on what we can control. Often what we control is very, very, very tiny, but are there some things you can control? Can you control your energy out, what you're giving to the world? Practicing self-compassion for sure. Choosing who you spend time with, those who maybe get it or are trying to get it, are willing to learn to try to get it. And then some pain management techniques, living within your limitations. Understanding maybe there's times where you can pop outside of them, but then you're going to want that recovery time. But what does it truly mean to live in your limitations? My light went out. Exploring pain and fear connection, that's kind of what I talked about earlier. And how do you yourself, I'm going to get closer, how do you yourself respond to pain? We talked about that a bit before. When it's coming up, that physical pain, how do you emotionally respond to it? So I talked about this evil villain at the beginning when I was talking about Kung Fu Panda named Tai Lung. So the challenge I offer you today is, if you accept who you are, accept where you are, believe that you are enough, you can defeat your Tai Lung. Thank you, Kung Fu Panda. There's a whole bunch of links I have about chronic pain that I'm going to post below because you can't access them obviously through this video. And I hope that they're helpful to you. Please feel free to pop me a comment below or follow me on Instagram, Facebook, or TikTok at Kelsey the Counsellor. And I'd love to hear from you. And if you would love to learn more about this, definitely fire me a message and I'll see what I can offer. Okay. All the best, everyone. Bye.